Napoleon Hill once said, "Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it." This single principle separates those who achieve extraordinary success from those who spend their lives talking about what they could have been. In his groundbreaking work Think and Grow Rich, Hill discovered that premature disclosure of your plans is one of the fastest ways to ensure they never manifest into reality. Most people make a critical mistake the moment inspiration strikes. They feel an overwhelming urge to share their brilliant idea, their ambitious goal, or their life-changing plan with anyone who will listen. They announce it at dinner parties, post it on social media, tell their friends, family, and co-workers. They believe that declaring their intentions publicly will somehow make them more accountable or more real. But Hill understood a deeper truth. Every time you speak your dream aloud to the wrong person, you drain it of its power. In The Law of Success, Hill wrote about the destructive nature of negative influences. He observed that the majority of people are conditioned to be skeptics, critics, and dream killers, not out of malice, but out of their own limited thinking. When you share your audacious goals with these individuals, they immediately project their limitations onto your vision. "That's impossible," they say. "That's too risky. People like us don't do things like that. You should be more realistic." These seemingly innocent comments are psychological poison. They plant seeds of doubt in your subconscious mind, and doubt is the enemy of achievement. Hill discovered that your mind cannot hold two contradictory thoughts simultaneously with equal conviction. When someone you respect questions your dream, a part of you begins to question it too. The vision that once burned brightly in your imagination starts to flicker and fade. The psychology behind premature disclosure is fascinating. When you tell someone about your plans, your brain experiences a premature sense of accomplishment. Researchers have found that talking about your goals tricks your mind into believing you've already made progress toward them. You receive social recognition, validation, and perhaps even praise for your ambitious intentions. This creates a dopamine response, the same neurochemical reward you would receive from actual achievement. Your brain becomes satisfied with the talking, making the doing less urgent. Napoleon Hill observed this phenomenon decades before modern neuroscience confirmed it. He watched countless individuals sabotage their own success by becoming professional talkers rather than doers. In his book, The Master Key to Riches, Hill emphasized that successful people understand the power of working in silence. They know that their dreams are fragile in the beginning, like seeds planted in soil. Just as you wouldn't constantly dig up a seed to check if it's growing, you shouldn't constantly expose your dreams to the harsh light of public scrutiny. Consider how many times you've seen someone announce a major life change, a new business venture, a weight loss goal, a creative project, only to abandon it weeks later. The announcement itself became the achievement. They received the attention, the encouragement, the acknowledgement they craved, and their motivation evaporated. They became addicted to the praise that comes from intention rather than the satisfaction that comes from completion. Hill also understood that not everyone who discourages you is consciously trying to hurt you. Many dream killers are people who love you. They're your parents who want you to be safe, friends who don't want to see you fail, or colleagues who feel threatened by your ambition. Their discouragement often comes disguised as concern or practical advice. But regardless of their intentions, the effect is the same. They weaken your resolve and dilute your vision. The solution is simple but requires tremendous discipline. Keep your dreams sacred. Protect them fiercely in the early stages when they're most vulnerable. Don't seek validation from others for what you know in your heart to be true. Don't allow other people's fears, doubts, and limitations to become your own. Understand that silence isn't secrecy out of shame. It's strategy born of wisdom. When you master the art of silence, something magical happens. Your energy remains concentrated and focused. Your motivation comes from internal conviction rather than external validation. You become immune to the opinions of those who haven't achieved what you're attempting to achieve. Your dreams grow stronger in the darkness of privacy, developing deep roots that cannot be easily uprooted by criticism or doubt. Napoleon Hill's message is clear. Guard your dreams like you would guard your most precious possession, because that's exactly what they are. The world doesn't need to know what you're planning. The world needs to see what you've accomplished. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill wrote extensively about the concept of mental energy and how it directly influences your ability to manifest your desires into physical reality. He understood something that most people never grasp. Your thoughts are not passive. They are active forces that shape your circumstances. When you speak your dreams prematurely, you're not just sharing information. you're literally draining the creative energy required to bring those dreams to life. Hill discovered that every thought carries with it a certain amount of emotional intensity and mental power. When you first conceive an idea or set a goal, that thought exists in its purest, most potent form. It's charged with enthusiasm, belief, and possibility. This concentrated mental energy is what Hill called definiteness of purpose, a clear, burning desire that propels you toward action. But this energy is finite and precious. Each time you verbalize your plans to someone else, especially someone skeptical or negative, you disperse that concentrated power. Napoleon Hill once said that the mind operates like a battery. It can be charged with positive energy through focused thought, emotion, and visualization. But it can also be drained through leakage, and one of the primary sources of leakage is premature disclosure. When you tell others about your goals, you invite their energy into your mental space. If their energy is doubtful, fearful, or negative, it short-circuits your own positive charge. If their energy is indifferent, it creates resistance that you must overcome. The connection between secrecy and power is ancient wisdom that Hill rediscovered and systematized for modern achievers. Throughout history, mystics, monks, and masters of manifestation have understood that certain intentions gain strength through silence. Hill observed that the most successful individuals he studied, industrialists, inventors, entrepreneurs, often worked in complete secrecy until their projects reached critical mass. Thomas Edison didn't announce each failed experiment. Henry Ford didn't seek public approval for his automobile designs. Andrew Carnegie didn't broadcast his business strategies. They worked in silence and let their results create the noise. In The Law of Success, Hill explained that talking dissipates creative force because it redirects your energy from internal creation to external explanation. When you're explaining your plans to others, you're using mental and emotional energy that could be applied to actually executing those plans. You're defending, justifying, and convincing, all of which pull you away from the focused concentration required for achievement. Every conversation about your dream is time not spent working on your dream. Moreover, Hill recognized that premature disclosure creates external pressure and expectations that can become paralyzing. Once you've told people what you're going to do, you feel obligated to deliver in ways that meet their expectations rather than your own vision. You become concerned with how your progress appears to others rather than focusing on the process itself. This external validation seeking is a trap that ensnares countless would-be achievers. They become performers instead of creators, more concerned with the appearance of success than the substance of it. Napoleon Hill also understood the metaphysical dimension of manifestation. He believed that thoughts are things, that they have actual substance and creative power. When you hold a thought in your mind with emotional intensity and unwavering faith, you set in motion forces that attract the physical equivalent of that thought into your life. But this process requires sustained mental focus and emotional energy. It's like building pressure in a contained system. The moment you release that pressure through talking, you weaken the manifestation process. Consider how a pressure cooker works. The lid must remain sealed for pressure to build and transform the ingredients inside. If you keep lifting the lid to check on the food or let others peek inside, the pressure escapes and the cooking process is disrupted. Your dreams work the same way. They need time to cook under the sustained pressure of your focused attention and belief. Every time you expose them to outside scrutiny, you release that pressure and slow the transformation from thought to reality. Hill also noted that silence creates a psychological advantage. When you work quietly toward your goals, you develop an inner confidence that doesn't depend on external affirmation. You prove to yourself that your word means something, that when you commit internally to a goal, you follow through regardless of who knows about it. This builds character and self-reliance, two qualities Hill identified as essential for lasting success. Furthermore, silence allows you to fail privately and adjust course without public humiliation. Not every idea works. Not every plan succeeds on the first attempt. When you've announced your intentions to everyone, failure becomes a public spectacle. But when you work in silence, you can experiment, fail, learn, and pivot without losing face or credibility. You maintain the freedom to adapt your strategy without having to explain or justify every decision to an audience. The lesson is profound. Protect your mental energy as zealously as you protect your financial resources. Recognize that every word you speak about your unmanifested dreams is a withdrawal from your creative bank account. Save that energy. Concentrate it. Use it to fuel action rather than conversation. Let your silence be the container that holds and magnifies your power until your dreams have no choice but to materialize into undeniable reality. Napoleon Hill once said, "No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force which may be likened to a third mind." This concept, which Hill called the mastermind principle, represents the single exception to the law of silence. While you should guard your dreams from the majority of people, there exists a select group with whom sharing becomes not just acceptable, but essential for accelerated achievement. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill devoted an entire chapter to the mastermind principle because he recognized it as one of the major sources of power used by every person who accumulates great wealth. He defined a mastermind alliance as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. The critical distinctions here are coordination, harmony, and definite purpose. These are not casual friendships or family relationships. These are strategic alliances formed with intention and maintained with discipline. Hill studied Andrew Carnegie extensively and discovered that Carnegie attributed his entire fortune to the power of his mastermind group. Carnegie surrounded himself with brilliant minds in chemistry, engineering, finance, and sales, each contributing specialized knowledge that he himself didn't possess. But more importantly, these individuals believed in Carnegie's vision and added their mental and emotional energy to his own. They didn't diminish his dreams, they amplified them. The difference between masterminds and critics is fundamental. Critics judge from the sidelines. They have no skin in the game and no commitment to your success. They offer opinions without offering assistance. Masterminds, however, are invested in your achievement because they understand that your success contributes to theirs. They provide not just encouragement but practical advice, strategic connections, specialized knowledge, and accountability. They challenge you to think bigger, not smaller. They ask, "How can we make this work?" rather than "Why won't this work?" In The Law of Success, Hill wrote that the composition of your mastermind group determines the trajectory of your entire life. He observed that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are negative, limited in their thinking, and comfortable with mediocrity, you will unconsciously adopt those same characteristics. But if those 5 people are ambitious, positive, and constantly pushing boundaries, you will rise to meet that standard. Building your inner circle wisely requires ruthless selectivity. Hill emphasized that quality matters infinitely more than quantity. You don't need dozens of people in your mastermind group. In fact, having too many dilutes the focus and creates complexity. What you need are a few carefully chosen individuals who meet specific criteria. First, they must have already achieved a level of success in their own right. Success breeds success, and you want to learn from those who have done what you're attempting to do. Second, they must possess specialized knowledge or skills that complement your own weaknesses. Third, they must be committed to a philosophy of growth and abundance rather than scarcity and competition. Fourth, they must be trustworthy individuals who will keep your confidences and honor the sacred nature of the mastermind alliance. Napoleon Hill also warned about the danger of allowing negative or toxic individuals into your inner circle, even if they claim to support you. He observed that one negative mind in a mastermind group can poison the entire alliance. Negativity is contagious, and doubt spreads faster than confidence. If someone consistently brings energy-draining attitudes, skepticism, or jealousy to your mastermind meetings, they must be removed immediately. Your dreams are too important to be sabotaged by misaligned relationships. The structure and function of a proper mastermind group is also important. Hill recommended regular meetings, at least weekly or bi-weekly, where members gather with a definite agenda. These are not social gatherings or casual coffee meetings. These are focused sessions where each member presents their current challenges, receives input from the group, commits to specific actions, and reports on previous commitments. The energy of accountability, combined with the synergy of multiple minds focused on common goals, creates momentum that cannot be generated in isolation. Hill also taught that reciprocity is essential. A mastermind is not a one-way street where you extract value from others. You must bring equal or greater value to the group. You must genuinely care about the success of every member and be willing to contribute your knowledge, connections, and support generously. When this reciprocal energy exists, the mastermind becomes exponentially more powerful than the sum of its individual members. Modern applications of Hill's mastermind principle are everywhere. The most successful entrepreneurs today have advisory boards, mentor groups, and peer networks that function as masterminds. They understand that isolation is the enemy of innovation and that collaboration with the right minds accelerates achievement. They selectively share their boldest visions with these trusted advisors while maintaining silence with everyone else. The wisdom is clear. Be extremely selective about who you allow into your mental and emotional space. Protect your dreams from the masses, but strategically share them with a carefully chosen few who have the capacity and commitment to help you bring those dreams to life. Build your mastermind with intention, maintain it with discipline, and watch as the collective power of aligned minds transforms impossibilities into inevitabilities. In The Master Key to Riches, Napoleon Hill wrote, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." This principle encapsulates a profound truth about success. Results speak louder than intentions, execution matters more than explanation, and doers will always surpass talkers. The world is filled with people who talk about what they're going to do. But the world is changed by the quiet minority who actually do it. Hill studied over 500 successful individuals during his 20-year research project, and one pattern emerged consistently. The most accomplished people worked in silence and let their results create the noise. They didn't waste energy announcing their plans, defending their strategies, or seeking validation for their visions. They simply put their heads down and worked with such intensity and focus that their achievements became impossible to ignore. Napoleon Hill once said, "Deeds, and deeds alone, must be your claim to greatness." This is a call to action that demolishes the comfortable delusion that talking about your goals is the same as pursuing them. It's not. Talking is the refuge of those who are afraid to fail. Talking provides the illusion of progress without the risk of actual effort. Talking lets you maintain your image as ambitious and visionary without having to prove anything. But Hill had no patience for talkers. He reserved his respect for doers. Consider the profound difference in approach. The talker announces a new business venture and spends months telling everyone about it, designing business cards, creating social media accounts, and discussing strategy. The doer registers the business, acquires their first customer, and starts generating revenue, all before most people even know the business exists. The talker posts motivational quotes about fitness and announces a weight loss journey. The doer shows up at the gym every morning at 5, works out in silence, and 6 months later people notice the transformation without any announcement being necessary. The talker explains their brilliant novel concept to anyone who will listen. The doer writes 1,000 words every single day until the manuscript is complete. In Think and Grow Rich, he'll emphasize that persistence is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. But persistence requires action, not conversation. Every hour spent talking about what you're going to do is an hour not spent actually doing it. Every ounce of energy used to convince others of your potential is energy stolen from the realization of that potential. The mathematics are simple. Action compounds, talk dissipates. Action builds momentum, talk creates stagnation. Action produces evidence, talk produces excuses. He'll also observe that successful people understand the concept of earning your bragging rights. You don't announce your championship before the competition. You win the competition, and the announcement takes care of itself. You don't declare yourself an expert. You develop such mastery that others recognize and acknowledge your expertise. You don't claim to be successful. You build such undeniable results that success becomes your inevitable label. This approach requires patience, humility, and an internal locus of validation, qualities that separate genuine achievers from pretenders. Napoleon Hill wrote extensively about the destructive nature of procrastination, and he identified premature disclosure as one of its primary enablers. When you talk about your plans, you create the false sense that you've made progress. This psychological trick allows you to procrastinate on actual execution while maintaining the comfortable story that you're working toward your goals. The doer, conversely, has no such delusion. They measure progress by concrete actions taken and tangible results produced. There's nowhere to hide and no story to tell themselves. Either they did the work or they didn't. The call to action is urgent and uncompromising. Stop talking and start doing. Stop seeking permission and start taking responsibility. Stop explaining your vision and start executing it. Stop defending your dreams to people who haven't earned the right to judge them, and start building evidence that makes defense unnecessary. Let your results speak so loudly that your words become irrelevant. He'll believe that opportunities multiply as they are seized. Each action you take creates momentum that makes the next action easier. Each small victory builds confidence that enables bigger risks. Each completed project proves to yourself and others that you're someone who finishes what they start. But none of this happens through talking. It only happens through consistent, disciplined, focused action taken in silence and sustained over time. In conclusion, Napoleon Hill's law of silence is ultimately about energy management and strategic focus. By keeping your dreams protected from negative influences, you preserve the mental and emotional energy required to manifest them. By limiting disclosure to only your carefully selected mastermind alliance, you amplify your power through synergy while avoiding the drain of explaining yourself to critics. And by prioritizing action over words, you transform yourself from someone who has potential into someone who produces results. The choice is yours. Will you be a talker or a doer? Will you seek validation or create vindication? Will you announce your intentions or demonstrate your achievements? Napoleon Hill showed us the path. Now you must walk it, in silence with purpose, until your success speaks louder than any words ever could.